Hello and welcome to Boomer Live. What an exciting game of cricket did we just have? It was between India and Bangladesh, and every time these two oppositions meet in the T20 World Cup, you can expect a nail biter of a game, and that's exactly what happened. A lot of Indian fans had their Bibles out there, everything, Gitas out, everything out today because rain had come at a time when India did not want it to come because of the fact that India were below on the Duckworth Lewis method as well. Bangladesh were ahead of it. Little Das got every Indian scared at that point. 1.3 billion Indians were definitely scared at that point with the kind of starting he bat beautifully. When it comes to India were very comfortable posting 184 on board. It was again Virat Kohli and KL Rahul is back. He scored a 50, a much needed 50 for KL Rahul. And Surya Kumar Yadav contributed with the bat. And towards the latter half, Ashwin's two boundaries. Now, if you look at the result of the match, those two boundaries are worth its weight in gold. That's something which we need to appreciate. And here we are to talk about it, analyze. We're going to bring in a lot of data to break down where the game changed, how did the game progress. Welcome, Jen, on the show. How do you analyze the match first up?
Incredible match. I think Bangladesh versus India is pretty much an underrated fixture when it comes to World Cups because Bangladesh has always struggled India in the World Cups. I mean, except for I think 2011 World Cup. If you see where India won emphatically, 2007 World Cup India was defeated. 2016, if you guys remember, MS Dhoni with the one glove run out, and today as well, it was interesting to see Dinesh Karthik remove that one glove in the last over and then you have today's match. So I think all over, if you look at Bangladesh versus India, especially T20 World Cups, I think Bangladesh is a team to be reckoned with. And today's pitch, I kind of felt like wasn't the kind of pitch we've seen in a long time. Today's pitch I felt was a lot more easier to bat on, and the
No,
ball
I
didn't do as
also
much.
think that's because of the shorter boundary. Towards the leg side, you saw
Yeah,
56-meter
yeah,
boundary, and
correct,
which
correct.
meant that batters were totally in the game. Yesterday, we did have an elaborated discussion on shorter boundaries. And today, you saw the effect of the moment it was shorter boundaries for the first time in Australia. You remember the first time in this entire tournament, Adelaide was used, and you saw how batters loved one side shot and offloads. Most
Yeah.
of the batters in T20 format prefers going towards the leg side, and they did make use of it. For example, Litton Das really made use of it. For Indian batters were batting still through the V because Indian batsmen were so used to playing through the V in the throughout the tournament that they found it pretty odd to go cross. So Bangladesh batters really used to bat, especially Litton Das. Credit to him, even Nurul towards the end. So that's one thing which we saw different in this game, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the way Bangladesh came out, India were a little taken aback, and also today I think the reason why you saw India struggle in the power play so much is because both Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Arshdeep didn't get the exaggerated swing movement that we've seen in the past three matches that India has played now, and that's where I felt somewhere both Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Arshdeep struggled to contain the runs, and then when Mohammad Shami came in, the ball stopped doing anything anyway. I mean, the ball wasn't seaming off the pitch. It wasn't doing anything at all, and he was bowling length. I think trying to get the swing, and in that confusion, Litton Das really took to Indian players, and what he
Yeah.
did excellently well is I felt he did not play a lot of
I thought he got
risky
a
shots. I
couple of
would say,
chances as well. One
yeah,
I thought
there
was
was
very
a chance.
close.
Yeah.
That one
I
was
think
very close. I'm not sure
yeah.
on which side should I take because I did not see the ball bouncing, to be very honest. It was just bouncing inside the glove. I don't know why a soft dismissal is still there. If I'm not wrong, that was actually taken off from the international cricket a year ago. And today, all of a sudden, soft dismissal, that sign was called up. If I remember, soft dismissal was totally removed so that third umpire judging will not have any bias. The moment you give a soft signal, then you're trying to find a conclusive evidence for the
Yeah.
thing which is yet to be proved. So that's
Yeah, I
something
mean, I
which I
think
don't like it.
the reason why you're looking at soft signal is probably because
No,
when the
Darren,
camera
my point
angles are
is
not
that
available.
particular rule was taken off from international cricket.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I don't know about that case as such, but from my perspective, what I understand is the third umpire relies on the umpires on the ground to that extent because you never know which angle the third umpire gets and whether he's able to see everything that the umpires on the field are able to see, and you kind of have this. I would say rule in cricket. I would say this is one thing which you don't see in any other sport as such, where you trust the umpires a lot more. For example, even in LBWs, umpires bias is considered to be the deciding factor, and I think that's the same factor that is coming here in this case. But I'll agree with you. At least you don't need, when you have the camera angles to see things clearly, and if everything is that clear, you don't really need a soft signal. What I feel is a better idea is probably, you can, if the third umpire is not able to make a conclusive decision, then maybe he can ask the umpires what he goes through. Maybe there can be dialogue after the third umpire looks and overviews, because you don't need to have a prior bias. Maybe after, if the third umpire is not able to make a decision, then maybe a consultation between the three umpires can go in, because they have walkie talkies in their hands, and it's
Hmm.
not like it's impossible, it's never happened before. So I think that is something which is a better alternative, I would say, because you're right. The moment they show a soft signal, the third umpire is then, is supposed to go ahead in
I'm
that
not sure if
decision.
that rule was implemented only in IPL or in international cricket, but if I'm not wrong, that rule was implemented for the sake that this particular biasness had to be taken off. Because often we see the moment you give soft signal, then you want to prove the latter, which is to prove that it is not this. So there's definitely a
Yeah.
70% or more bias towards that particular decision which is given on the ground. Then you have to prove, you have to find conclusive decision or conclusive evidence to prove that it is not out. So that's why it kind of baffled me today whether if that rule is not there in picture, then I don't know why a soft signal was given by Matt Erasmus to the third umpire. But either ways, that did not cost India the match, but it could possibly have. But let's talk
Could
about
have,
KL
yeah.
Rahul, right? Let's talk about KL Rahul because that's one of the talk of the day. Because Virat Kohli in T20 World Cups is a norm for him. He comes and keeps scoring runs, so we don't have to talk about that part. Let's talk about KL Rahul. How important is KL Rahul's knock today? Because we did discuss about it yesterday that we want to see him back in form. And we were hopeful that yesterday, from whatever signs we were getting from the practice session, that Virat Kohli was spending 1 hour with him talking about technique. And today you saw he was like parenting with KL Rahul when he came on to bat. He was telling KL Rahul, Yahamar, Wahamar. He was really backing him with every shot. And that really helped KL Rahul. In one way or the other, actually, that rubbed off a positive vibe to him, which actually made him play a lot like KL Rahul we know. So that's a good thing. That's one thing which Virat Kohli only can bring, which I'm pretty sure that's one trait which Virat Kohli will bring to any batter, even to Ashwin. You saw that even today. He brought that to Ashwin. He can bring that to any batter. He brings that to Surya. Uh, Tell about KL Rahul.
I mean, it's just great to see him score runs. I think it's been coming, because we've all been waiting for it. The rope which he was on from the Indian management was stretching longer and longer, but it was coming to an end. And if this tournament he hadn't performed, you wouldn't have seen him ever again, because you've seen this happen to so many Indian cricketers, right?
Yeah.
Shami, for instance, in the last World Cup when he didn't perform, he wasn't in the Indian setup until this World Cup when India actually needed him. To be very honest, Shami
Yeah.
was not their first
Yes,
select anyway.
absolutely. If not for Bumrah, they were not even going to him. And
Yeah, they were
remember,
not just
I don't
Bumrah.
think
It
he
was
was in the
Bumrah,
top
Avesh
two.
Khan. It was
Yeah,
Bumrah,
Bumrah, Avesh
Avesh
Khan,
Khan,
Prasidh Krishna.
then Prasidh Krishna, then it was Mohammad Shami. That's how
Absolutely.
much luck had to go in Shami's way. So if
Yeah.
you see, if KL Rahul, and you know what, I think fast bowlers, you could still say that there isn't many options for India in comparison to openers. Because openers, there are many openers in this Indian setup right now. You could, and I think IPL, especially the franchisees, what they've been doing is they have been suddenly bringing people like, for example, Deepak Huda, always batted at the lower order. Suddenly, they have brought him into the top order. Today, he could be an opening option as well. So you never know what these franchises. Obviously, they have their own strategies, but then these players come up, and in when they perform, then they stake their claim to the opening spot. So KL Rahul's spot has been under question because of that reason, isn't it? Because we have so many other openers waiting in the wings, and that's where you need someone like a KL Rahul to perform. But today, what I saw of him was, I think, that innings really helped him, especially in the field, because even more than the
Yeah,
innings,
yeah.
what he really needed
Let's
was
talk
that
about that
run out.
moment. You saw that was a moment of magic you need in your World Cup, triumph, and that's one moment of magic which we got from Kildare. 34 meters away, he was on the wrong balance of the body, had to turn, hit with he only had one stump on his side, and he hit it perfectly. And at that point of time, Liton Das was the danger man, and he got him out. You wanted some moment of magic to get Liton Das out because the game was even. Stevens was right in the balance right after the rain break, and that really gave India the momentum, isn't it? Let's talk about the run
Yeah,
out first and then the
absolutely.
momentum.
Yeah, I mean that break really helped, I would say, to a very good extent for India. In many ways, I think India was able to come back a little bit more, stronger, I would say.
Yeah.
Although when it started raining, I was really worried, because India were 17 runs behind the Duckworth Lewis,
Mhm.
and if it had continued to rain, India would have lost the match. It would have been an Ireland England situation all over
Oh,
again
yeah.
for India, and I think India would be very upset as well, because that 6 overs, especially in the first 6 overs of the game, you can never really dictate how the game is going to go. And we saw that after that break as well. The
Yeah,
moment that
that's where
happened, that
I'll
changed.
try to pull out the stats of how the wickets were fallen for Bangladesh. Remember, it's a rain curtailed game, so when the wicket start
Yeah, I
is going to
mean,
be dictated same
you have
way.
to also notice, right, and that graph, if you look down below if you look at how many the middle overs for India,
Yeah,
it was 8 overs that they had in the middle overs, while Bangladesh had only like 5 overs before they could transition to death overs. And I think that's where the break really helped India in many ways, because it increased the difficulty, I would say, of scoring those many runs. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, the target was shortened, but then the amount of
Yeah,
balls that they
remember
had
in
left
the
was
power
also
play,
shifted.
if you remember the strike, they went almost close to 10 runs per over in the power play. They went exactly at 10 runs per over. And
Yeah,
remember, there's a clear drop down from 7 to 11. That was actually, you can say it's a middle phase in that rain curtail game. But then,
yeah,
yes, in this particular game, that was the most crucial phase because when they came out to bat, they wanted 54 balls, 85 runs to win. They lost 4 wickets right there, 4 major wickets, including Shakib, Luton Das, and you do saw even Yasser falling there. And that was a change. Afif also fell over there, so that was a big factor in
yeah,
this
yeah.
drive. And to come out and to pick up wickets straight up, and especially
Yeah,
run
and
out
you've
worthy
lost
batsmen.
4 wickets in 5 overs, and that's never helpful, right? I think they lost 9 runs at a time. They lost 9 runs and 4 wickets. That's what the fall was,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
where things really got difficult for them, because I felt if you also look at the middle overs, the runs that they have scored throughout the middle overs. If you look at the graph, you'll also see that India really did well in that terms, because in the power play, India's run rate was pretty bad, and I think you have the graph that they're able, right? I mean, if you just
yeah.
pull that up,
I'll just pull that up once again to see it. India
I mean
lost
the
one wicket
runs
in
that
the
they
power play in
scored
the
throughout
middle
the
of.
stages,
Yeah,
the run rate throughout the stages. If you just pull that out in the power play
I'll
in the
just pull
middle
out
overs,
I think I'll
yeah.
just pull that out as well. So meanwhile, I'll welcome
Yeah, yeah. I
Sandivani.
mean, I will continue on that point. When
Yeah,
but India, what they really did is in the middle overs. That's when they really started coming good. They had a run rate of about 10.25 in the middle overs, and that's where Bangladesh, on the other hand, only had a run rate of 8.2. And mind you, Bangladesh needed that spike in run rate even more than India, given that they
yeah,
only had 16 runs to score at, and they had only 5 overs in that middle over. So you expect them to do a lot better. That's where the game really changed, because when
yeah.
you're striking it, you're only scoring 41 runs in that middle overs, and you're losing 4 wickets. That's pretty much
Yeah,
half the
let's pull out
side.
the run rate right after Ratan
Yeah,
Das
I think
dismissal, because
this
you can see a
is probably the
stark contrast in the
yeah,
fall in their run rate because they were going close to 10 runs per over, and after that they had a massive downward climb, downward spiral down. If you remember that they wanted close to 9 runs per over to win this match after the rain break, and after Luton Das wicket, they were only managed to score at 8 runs per over and just above 8 runs per over, and that was the reason why you saw the result going in India's favor by 5 runs. It could have easily been 8.5, even 9 runs per over would have got them home. Welcome, Sandeep, on the show. We were talking about KL Rahul's run out. I'll start up with that. How did you see that coming? Because today you saw a confident KL Rahul. We were talking about how Virat Kohli's role also was there. Because ultimately, you have to bat, but Virat Kohli playing a positive factor while him batting, and it really having an impact on KL Rahul the way he was approaching. He was not tentative once Virat Kohli was in the crease.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we always knew that if KL Rahul would come back to form, it had to be in the games against Bangladesh or Zimbabwe, because once we entered the knockout stage, there is very little room for error, and I think this will obviously boost his confidence. He was a bit cautious to start on. Because obviously Shakib Al Hasan did something out of the box. He employed his best bowler and just bowled him throughout
Hmm.
in the first phase itself. Given the fact that Taskin Ahmed has been Bangladesh's leading wicket taker in the Super 12s, and he has picked up 8 wickets, even though he did not pick
Yeah.
up any
I,
wickets
I
today,
think
but he
Shakib
bowled
tried to
brilliantly.
justify it by saying that he was bowling beautifully at that stage. He was trying to beat the bat, and
Yeah, I
they
think I
wanted
think
to
that
take
that
Surya
was
and
a good.
Virat out.
Yeah, that was a good ploy. He almost got Rohit Sharma out. Rohit Sharma could not capitalize on the drop chance, but
Yeah.
then again, he was bowling brilliantly to Virat Kohli and KL Rahul as well, and another wicket at that point. I think with the bowling that the fast bowling attack that Bangladesh had tonight, I think things would have been completely different. So I think great captaincy. I think also Shakib Al Hasan, a lot of credit has to be given to him because of the fact that he was placing those fields very meticulously. He was calculating. He was really
Yeah.
working at his angles, and I think it was brilliant captaincy from Bangladesh, from Shakib Al Hasan, to restrict India to 184. Yeah, I think once you have class players like Virat Kohli, Surya Kumar Yadav in the last 10 overs, the Indian team was going to accelerate, and they were going to go at 10
Hmm.
12 runs per over. but I think Bangladesh did a great job given their resources and their uh, pool of bowlers. Having said that, I think Bangladesh had it under control with 42 runs at the end of 7 overs when Taskin Ahmed completed his quota of 4 overs. And then Bangladesh went on to concede, I think, 143 runs in the next 13 overs at a run rate of 11. So only because India had not lost too many wickets, and that over from Shariful Islam really got the team going. KL Rahul hit a six
Absolutely.
of a no ball, and then there was a wide, and then another six was hit. So potentially 14 runs was scored off just one delivery, and that just
Hmm.
shifted the momentum in India's favor. And I think Kohli played a Kohli sort of a knock again.
Yeah.
We
Yeah, we will
criticize
talk
Kohli
about it.
when he's not getting scores. We criticize Kohli when he's not getting scores in excess of 50 because we are so habituated with Kohli coming in, doing this sort of a job, coming in, scoring 60, 70 odd runs or 40,
No,
45
we are
deliveries,
like it's
and,
not
and
we
people
were like
do a lot
not
of.
even going to talk about this because this has just become a norm in T20 World Cups with Virat
I mean,
Kohli.
even I wouldn't have been surprised if
Yeah,
the way
I think
Surya
it's
Kumar Yadav
about
was going,
time
I was
that
expecting another 100 run
even the
partnership.
ballers would probably like this suggestion, but I think it's about time you allow Kohli to just try and stand at the non-strikers end and then give him 50 of 30, 50 of 30, 24, 25, and then
Yeah,
just let
I
him go
mean,
back. The
Yeah,
ballers
I
will
mean,
enjoy to have him
always
there.
in
as
this
we're
sort of a
having a
touch.
discussion, I think I'll pull up a stat to show you how Virat Kohli's innings progression have been in T20 World Cups. And as you can see, in progression by balls facing T20 World Cups, his strike rate goes up. 100 is what he has from 0 to 9. Then it goes up to 114, 134, 162. And towards his death overs, when he's facing 40 plus balls, his strike rate goes up to 212. His innings progression, all the way, the template he has followed has
And
been
then
just
let's
perfect
also
for
talk
him.
about consistency. We are talking about 13 half centuries in 23 innings. Virat Kohli is the leading run scorer in T20 World Cups. All that is okay. But out of 23 innings, he has been not out in 11 of those innings. So he has carried his bat throughout the innings. That just goes to show, if you want to be an anchor in a team, in a national team, you have to learn from Kohli. Kohli will show you the path. And I think
Yeah, you can
Mohammad
only have.
Rizwan was deemed.
I'll tell you an upside of that. You can only have one Kohli. You can't have two Kohlis in the same team. Then
Definitely,
it's
you
going to
can't
really
have two
backfire.
Kohlis, but for every Kohli, you need a Surya Kumar Yadav who will come in and sort
Yeah,
of go
yeah.
at 30 or
Yeah,
16.
exactly.
Though that sort of no. Honestly,
That's
I
well
was
put up.
expecting another 100-run partnership between Virat Kohli and Surya Kumar Yadav. It
He
was not
was
to be
looking. I
today.
mean, this could have been a
Yeah,
100
yeah,
run
he was
partnership.
looking. He was
Surya
looking
Kumar
in
Yadav
ominous
was
steps.
playing like he
Also,
was
there
playing
were
gully
there
cricket.
were a couple of missed chances from the Bangladeshi team. It was difficult
Mm.
chances to sort of
You
dive
know,
in and take that
Surya
catch
Kumar Yadav
finally.
is in that mode right now in Cricket 07. There's an easy mode where you can score anywhere and you will get out at some stage. He has gotten out, and that's a biggest surprise. And when you get out, you're like, how did I lose a wicket? That's exactly what's happening with Surya Kumar Yadav. He's batting on a different level altogether. I
But
never
for
seen a
Indian
batter.
team, I think also a concern right now. Slowly, it is starting to be a concern. The finisher, where is our finisher? Because
I mean,
Hardik
today,
Pandya,
I think Ashwin is our finisher for now.
no, no, no. I think today the batting
definitely, and
pattern is
I have been
unlucky.
backing Ashwin to come in and bat at number 7. I think he is a capable batter to
Way
come in and
too
bat at
early to
No,
number
I
say.
think
7.
I
I
think
he's batting in the right place because you can't expect him to score at
yeah,
216.
number. It
Like
says is
just for
just
like if he has to face 20 deliveries, you don't
can't
expect to
expect
score
him to
40.
score at 216 every game, but whenever you need Ashwin, whatever role you need him to perform, Ashwin has come in and done the duty for the team. And I think they have the space to try someone like an Harshal Patel, because I think in this team Akshar Patel is a total misfit right now, because he's okay. He'll give you those 2-3 overs with the ball that will take the
um,
pressure off
well,
Ashwin or
well. I
Hardik
have
Pandya, whoever is not.
today. You couldn't just use your spinners. Let's be very honest. Today the conditions were again different. You can't really go at the spinners for the same reasons. One side the boundaries were short, and you had a rain curtail game. There you were trying to get the overs out of the spinners as soon as possible. Ashwin balled 1 over, and he tried to ball best as possible. He again got hit for two boundaries. That's when Rohit Sharma realized he can't go to Ashwin for another over. Then he had to put all the onus on Hardik Pandya. And he did a very good job. He did a very good job, especially picking up crucial wickets
Yeah,
in crucial
no. Then
junctures and
then
giving
then
India.
my point being, then if you knew that spinners were not really going to have an impact, then why not play
No,
Harshal Patel in
no,
place of
no.
Akshar
That's
But
not my
Patel?
this is
point.
Because I think
My
I think
point
what
Harshal
is this:
David's
Patel.
point is the fact that when it was a
it
rain
was a
curtail
rain
match, the
curtail
amount
game.
of
You can't do anything about it.
yeah,
If
I
it's an
mean
eight
also
over, you
the
totally take the spinners out.
outfield was pretty wet. I mean, I think Harsha Bhogle, when he was on the sidelines, he did mention that that in the Indian, the Indian fielding coach, I think it was who was
Yeah.
coming out of the brushes trying to remove the grass, the wet grass of the that was sticking to the boots. So I think at that stage the ball was getting wet. a lot because of the outfield as well. And someone like an Ashwin couldn't really control the ball as much. You saw that he was erring in lengths quite a bit. I would say he did a very good job, despite getting hit for two boundaries.
Hmm.
Because before that two boundaries, he had before and after the two boundaries, he balled two dots. So
Hmm.
there, I think he did a
Yeah, yeah.
decent job for a spinner. It's just a tough place to ball as a spinner. And I would say, but the inclusion of Harshal Patel wouldn't be a bad option either, if you really think about it, because Akshar Patel has not had a best of World Cup.
You can have
Uh,
Harshal Patel, correct. Harshal Patel is not a bad option. Why I say that is because maybe not Deepak Huda. I'll have a Harshal
because
Patel.
I think what Harshal Patel can do is he can mirror
No,
Akshar Patel
that
in
that
terms
is
of batting
exactly what I
ability,
said.
and
I
he can
mean,
give
if
you
you
that.
are yesterday after all the debate that we had, I think we sort of fixated on a point that we can have either of Dinesh Karthik or Rishabh Pant in the team, and we can have either of Harshal Patel or Akshar Patel in the team. These are the only two options that we can sort of play with. Other than that,
Yeah.
I don't see Deepak Huda getting another game. Yesterday, I was a bit
But
skeptical,
today
but
he
once we
fielded
had
well
that
though.
debate,
I'll,
and
I'll give
then
him
I
credit
think
for that
Harshal
very good
Patel or
catch.
Akshar Patel, and clearly Akshar Patel is struggling.
Yeah, true. He is. He is. He's struggling. It's not been easy for him, and he's not gotten those opportunities to really come in and come into effect. He bowled well against Netherlands. That's the only team where he got proper 4 overs. Against Pakistan, he was going 1 over where he was taken for the Tonkers, and against South Africa, he did not play. And today it was a rain affected game, so can't really blame him. And in the 1 over he bowled very well. He's the one who really
No,
put the
but
momentum down
no,
for us.
I think Akshar Patel will justify his selection with the ball. But my problem is that he has not been proving himself with the bat at number 7, because I
Do you
think
think Harshal
Ashwin
Patel
has
can
been
prove it
doing a
with the
better
bat?
job. Yeah,
Do you think Ashwin can prove it with the bat? Because today you saw
I
you
think he
needed
has been
number
doing it
seven.
since the Asia Cup. I think
Ashwin
whatever
has a very good
opportunities
back foot
Ashwin has
game.
got.
Ashwin loves to stay on his back foot and
I'll tell
score.
you one thing: Ashwin has a better record against short pitch bowling because it is much
Yeah.
more upright and he can hit. He can hit a long ball when needed. But given a fact, are you going to really, compromise on your batting to add an extra ball of saying that okay, fine, I'll bring in
No,
Harshal
but I
Patel.
think
But
Harshal
then,
Patel instead of Akshar Patel, I think
the
Harshal
moment
Patel
you
is a
have
good enough
Ashwin at
batter to
number
come in at number
seven,
8.
psychologically in your team, you're going to think you only are batting in number seven. Then you want to lengthen your batting. Dinesh Karthik, he's not yet coming to power. He's not really coming to the fore as a finisher. He's batted. He looked good even today. He hit a boundary. He got run out, unfortunately. But let's be very honest. Akshar
Yeah,
Patel gives
that's
you a
that's
lot
what
more
I
security.
that is exactly what my point was. Like the only concern for the Indian team right now with the bat would be what happens if India loses 3 or 4 wickets early. What happens
Exactly.
if the top four does not go on to score those big runs? Then at number 5 we have Hardik Pandya, who has not really accelerated at the right point since the Asia Cup. If you consider his innings from the like his performances from the Asia Cup, whenever he has come in, when India has lost 2 3 wickets early, he has done a good job of sort of stabilizing the ship and taking the game deep. But when you think about pure explosion that we expect from Hardik Pandya, we are yet to see that in Australia yet.
I mean,
And
today,
also
today
Dinesh
I
Karthik
would
has
just
not
give him a
really
leeway
come to the
today.
party.
That he got out to a bad ball is what I felt. He was totally his feet was totally in the air. He tried to hit it over the top. But remember, even against Pakistan, he's the one who
He was
gave the
playing lawn
momentum.
tennis tonight.
He did not bat. He did not bat against Netherlands. Against South Africa, to be honest, he got out to a very good catch, which was taken by Rabada. So you have to give Hardik Pandya the leeway. And remember, even against Australia, when Australia was in India, he played a couple of very good innings where he scored a 70 odd of 30
No,
odd
but
balls.
my point being,
I mean,
he has developed his game with the
he's also
bat
not a
more as
bad.
a
He isn't a mop with the bat in Australia as well. I mean, in the Australia
Yeah.
series, in
yeah.
Australia,
He
he
has
played
a
well.
spectacular
He
record
played
in
great.
Australia.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, nobody's gonna talk. I'll talk. That's it.
I'm facing some issue with the in
Okay,
my
that's
thing.
all.
It's lagging for a long time, so I don't know when exactly you guys are finishing.
Yeah,
So
I think you can just calm down a little bit and just talk slow so that we also know when you're gonna finish. I think that, yeah. Let's go ahead from there
no, the
because
thing is, like once you're finishing talking, like the sound is coming to me a lot later. So something
okay.
with my internet issue, I think. Yeah.
Maybe it happens. That's one thing when you operate into an online medium and when you have three people sitting in three parts. So it happens. That's one thing which you should
Yeah.
consider as a part and parcel of online medium of telecasting or broadcasting anything. But yeah, let's talk about India, especially when it comes to their bowling. Today was a day it was tested more than any other day. Today the bowling came under the scanner. You had to defend something which was quite achievable for Bangladesh. They had 10 wickets in hand when they had to score 85 runs. any day in T20 game when it's a rain curtail game, the team's chasing as an upper hand. And today also you saw that. If it was even 10 over game, it was even easier for them. Remember, if it would have been reduced to a 10 over game, if there were more rain, they needed just 23 runs of 18 balls. That would have been gone for India. So imagine you had at least 9 overs to play with, and you had ballers. And one everybody told Bangladesh will be in the upper hand, but Ravi Shastri was like it's on even Stevens. I mean, I had a feeling at that point, if you have one good over or two good overs, pressure is going to be back on the batting side. Batting side is the one who has to accelerate from the word go because they had a huge break. How do you see that rain break affecting Bangladesh batting momentum? Because we often talk about momentum being a major factor in T20 cricket, and especially in a T20 in a shortened game, you need momentum to really uplift your team. How much did it affect today Bangladesh's batting?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, India's bowling did come through. You would have to say that towards the end, I mean, towards the end, especially India really came through because of the dot balls, the amount of dot balls that Bangladesh has played. I think that's where India was really good, where they did not allow Bangladesh to even get singles and doubles.
Yeah.
Even those miss hits were going to the fielders. That's where I have to credit Rohit Sharma as well as a I mean, as a captain, because he put those fielders at the right place. He knew where Bangladeshi batsmen were trying to score boundaries. That's one place where I felt, once you start choking them, I mean, once Bangladesh started really choking, and then they're able to score boundaries and singles and doubles, that's where India
Hmm.
really started getting those higher balls high in the air, and the chances that came through. Where Deepak Huda, especially, I would say what he did really well was when he came in as a substitute. He took in a couple of catches, if I'm not
Yeah,
wrong.
absolutely.
That was incredible. Those were some tough chances because there was still windy conditions,
Hmm.
and it was very cold out there, especially after a cold shower. And the hands must have been pretty numb because of the kind of weather. But
And
to
that's
take
one thing,
those catches,
as Priyanka also pointed out, today we did not drop catches, which is so important. And remember,
yeah,
with the wind and with smaller boundaries, you always are in tendency to feel little, you are going to be vulnerable of catching. And today, remember, the
yeah.
conditions were tough. Rain was there, and today you had to grab every catch as well. You couldn't have afforded to let go of any catch because of the pressure you were in. And that's why Indians fielded very well. And also, run out was an exception.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we already see the stats, right? Just after that run out, Bangladesh were going at almost 10 and over,
I'll pull up
suddenly
the
fell
strike
down.
rates of their batters meanwhile to see how it was for them
Yeah, I
in
mean,
comparison
yeah,
with
good.
Indians. Yeah. So if you look at the strike rate, you can understand that Indians, especially KL Rahul, was excellent, but Shanto's knock was such a derailing factor for Bangladeshi fielder because
Yeah.
he was not able to strike it away. Even while Litton Das was able to strike so comfortably, Shanto was on 2 of 13 balls, which is not benefiting Bangladesh. Ultimately, these are the margins which decide a game, and that's exactly what has decided the game for Bangladesh. If you look on the upside, and another player who came and thought will come start get going, but couldn't really get going was again Shakib Al Hasan batting on a strike rate of 108. Then you had Ali who was looking very in troublesome mode. Then Yasir, of course, as well. See Afif and also when it comes to Mosadik, he came and struck one big shot, but again he fell in the next ball. So there was no consistency or patterns, and especially you see Litton Das and others, there's a stark contrast. Litton Das batted at 222. I think it was the best strike rate throughout the game. Second best being Surya Kumar Yadav in batting there, and also of course being
I
KL
mean,
Rahul also
also if
had
you
a
look
very
at
good game.
that bar graph right there, look at how many Bangladeshi batters scored below 100 strike rate.
Yeah,
Bangladesh had only 96 deliveries in their innings to chase that innings score down, and so most of these, strike rates, especially if you're below 100, if you have 96 deliveries, right, and if you play one dot ball, that is more than 100 percentage. I mean, sorry, not 100%. That's more than the weight. So that's more than 1% of the deliveries that you've already played of the innings. So, for example, someone like Shanto, who played maybe 25 odd deliveries, played around 26% of the whole innings, and he's only scored how much did he score? I mean, wait, yeah, he's only scored
and he scored
21.
22, 21
He's
runs.
he scored only 21. 21 is not close to it's just about 10 percentage of the whole target that you're chasing. So if you look
Yeah,
at that, you realize how much resources has Shanto taken in his innings. Obviously,
yeah,
you'll have to also argue that Shanto plays most of his dot delivery. I mean, most of the deliveries that he played was in before
yeah,
the rain
absolutely.
came in.
Because
So
if you
maybe
look
that
at
was
the
a perspective
entry
as well.
point of someone like Shakib Al Hasan, when Shakib
But that's why
entered,
you were really disappointed with Shakib Al Hasan, because he's played 12 deliveries, and that's
yeah,
almost close to
remember
12 to 13
when
percentage.
Shakib entered, the platform was set for Shakib to
Yeah.
finish the game off. and you expected Shakib to go at a strike rate of at least 130 because Shanto was not able to clear it. And that's when Shanto tried. Shanto was swinging himself here and there so he could clear at least one ball out of the park, and he couldn't. And when Shami came into ball, he tried once again, he fell. Sandeep, I'll come to you now because we talk about
No,
strike rates, and this
but I
actually
think Shanto, whatever he did, yeah, I think whatever Shanto did in today's innings, I think he did a good enough job because before the rain
you
delay,
think so
I think he was on
because
4 of 12 balls.
I understand that. You think so? He did a good enough job. He that could have been better.
I
See,
think
4 of 12 balls.
I think for me, you know what happens, right? When you play 25 deliveries, then you become too big to fail. You cannot fail
Yeah,
anymore.
you
You've
can't
taken
fail.
too
That's a
many
good point.
chances. If you fail, like Shanto did, then that's the end of your innings because
See, I'll tell
you've
you,
taken too
with
many
Virat
deliveries and
Kohli's template, also there's an upside to them. If Virat Kohli would have failed at 29 ball 32, it would
yeah, so
have been a very bad
that is
loss.
the issue, right? For example, I think MS Dhoni towards the later half of his career, that's what used to happen to Indian team. He used to take up 30 to 31 deliveries and then he used to get out playing 35 or 32, 33 deliveries, and suddenly India's 5 overs are gone and India has not scored enough runs. Today also
Yeah,
Shanto scored 20, he's played 25 deliveries. That's 4.1 overs of 16 overs. So you
yeah.
have to look at it in that perspective. And
Yes,
even if
he's
it's a 20
taken
over
one
match,
fourth of the
No, but you'll
entire
have to
innings.
yeah,
look at it in that perspective too, that he had already played 12 deliveries within the first 7 overs itself. So after the rain delay, he played 2.1 overs and he scored 17 runs. So he
but
was
wait,
trying to get a move on and he got out. So
yeah, I mean, but
I am
then
okay
to
with
be
that.
fair,
I am
that's where
okay with
I'm
that.
more
But whatever
upset
See,
with
that's
Shakib
the
that's
did
a good way
with
to
the
analyze.
platform
That's a
that he
very good
had, I
point
think
as
he could have
well.
done better.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll take that point because, to be honest, when if you look at the other side of things, you have to look the game from a rain break perspective as well, pre-rain
yeah.
break and post-rain break. That's a good point which you have brought in, and I think that's very valid in this sense. But Shakib Al Hasan, he has got
Yeah,
himself to big
he's
108,
Shakib Al
and when he
Hasan,
came
two
into
overs he's played and he's only
yeah,
scored 13 runs.
the required run rate was 9.2 when Shakib came into bat, and you're batting at 108 where he scored. I think how much did he score? He
Yeah,
scored close to
because see,
20 runs.
Shaki
13.
was
He
really
scored
struggling
13.
against the fast bowlers. Shaki was not at all getting a move on. He hit those two boundaries of Ashwin in his last over that Ashwin bowled. But other than that, he actually struggled against the pitches. He was not being able to take the singles. He was not being able to rotate the strike. He was
Yeah,
playing
and I think if
dot
you
balls,
remove
and
those
that
two
was
boundaries,
creating pressure
I
from
mean,
both ends.
if you remove those
Yeah,
two boundaries, right, Sandimani, what if you look at the score, then it is just 5 of 10 balls. If you remove those two boundaries from 13 to 12,
but
it was 5 of 12 and five
yeah,
of 10.
definitely.
That is
That
where I
is
think Bangladesh really struggled because from there, if Shakib had started to get a kick on, it would have been very much difficult for India. Shakib's wicket, I think that is where India really got into the match. And then the rest of the middle order is really inexperienced when it comes to Bangladesh. He's that one player you wanted as a Bangladeshi fan to come good.
Absolutely, and that's where he really fell apart. I think we'll answer Aisha's question
Yeah, but
because
I think all credit should go to Arshdeep Singh as well. That over the
we
12th
will we will
over
talk
actually
about it.
changed the course of
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah, and one
52
one good
needed
thing
of
what Rohit
30
Sharma did was
deliveries
it was
with
very clear. The Arshdeep will be bowling towards the back end from when there was from 11th over to 5th to 16th over. It was very clear that Arshdeep will be one player who will be
yeah,
operating from one end, and he bowled beautifully. Remember, he went maybe for like 12 to 14 runs in the
definitely.
last over, but remember he was bowling beautiful. Even that ball which he got hit for six, he erred on his plan, which he should have been bowling Yorker. That I thought was just double bluff. It just did not come off,
Yeah.
and he just didn't
I
look
think
good.
apart from that delivery, all the five deliveries were Yorkers, and he nailed those Yorkers. Nurul was good enough to get one of those deliveries away for a boundary, but other than that, I think he was brilliant with all his deliveries.
Yeah, absolutely. Sanima, would you like to answer Aisha's question because it's something which a lot of people
Yeah,
on our
definitely. I
neighbor,
mean,
a lot of neighbors are really anticipating for tomorrow. They have a big game. Are they still in it?
yeah, I mean, Pakistan are still in it, but they'll still have to go on and beat South Africa and Bangladesh and hope that India goes on to lose against Zimbabwe and also Bangladesh loses to Pakistan. So, yeah, that is the only scenario. India has to lose to Bangladesh, India has to lose to Zimbabwe. Pakistan will have to win against South Africa and
At a,
Bangladesh
a
by a
good
huge
good
margin.
margin.
Not by a huge
By a
margin,
huge
but I think
margin.
net run rate is under control.
Yeah, net run
Yeah,
rate.
but if India loses another game and Pakistan wins too, so I think the net run rate will be under control in that scenario.
Yeah, but then what Pakistan will have to first do is to defeat South Africa. But if
No,
they
wait, I think
defeat South
Yeah,
even if
Africa,
India
then
and hope
loses,
there is no rain in
even if India
between.
loses, India has 6 points, right? And
Pakistan will get
Pakistan
two.
have two, and they have two more matches to go, which means
Pakistan
they'll
have
get,
two. Pakistan have two. Correct, correct.
yeah,
They
so they'll
have to
get
Pakistan
four
have two,
points
but
as
they'll
well.
play South Africa and they'll play
Yeah,
Bangladesh.
okay.
So if they win both,
I think that's the only way. Yeah, India will have to lose their last match. Even if there's a rain curtail match, India are through.
Yeah, so a lot of things.
and
And
even if
remember,
one
today
of the
Zimbabwe
games
lost
of
to Netherlands.
Pakistan is rain curtail, then also India are through.
I think, yeah, either way, today Zimbabwe lost to Netherlands, so their hopes are gone. There was a chance Zimbabwe could have qualified into the semi-final if they would have defeated India and Netherlands. So today their hopes are absolutely shattered with the India's win
Yeah.
and also with their lose to Netherlands. So that was a good
But
game to
I have
Netherlands.
been very impressed by. We have been talking about Van Meekeren, Paul Van Meekeren, and he is one of the leading wicket takers in the Super 12s. He has picked
Yeah,
up
he's
7 wickets
wickets.
in five,
Yeah,
Yeah,
four games. Seven
yeah.
wickets in 4 games, and he has looked to trouble the opposition batsman. I mean, the opposition batsman has not at all looked comfortable facing him.
Mhm.
It's been a commendable effort, and also from Max O'Dowd. I think Max O'Dowd is their best batter, was their most informed batter heading into this tournament,
guys.
Yeah.
and
Hang on.
he
I
actually
just. So I think. I'm so sorry. I'm bringing this in the middle of the conversation. But I know it shifted a
Go
little
ahead.
bit. But South Africa is at 5 points, and Pakistan right now are at two. I think if Pakistan win their next two matches, and South Africa has two more matches. If South Africa lose one, rather both, then that's also a
South Africa will
possibility.
have to
But
lose both.
South Africa have to
South
lose
Africa will
both.
have
Africa
to
should
lose
lose
both.
both.
That's the issue.
See, I'll
Yeah.
tell you
So
when
South Africa will have to lose
Indians
to
will be hoping
Netherlands and Pakistan.
And
Pakistan. So
Indians
that
will be hoping that Pakistan goes on a defeat South Africa tomorrow and South Africa wins against Netherlands so that you can top the group. That's one
yeah,
thing which
yeah,
Indians will be
that's one
hoping
thing
to.
Indians will be hoping for.
And you would be wanting to defeat Zimbabwe. That's in your hand. It's not in anybody else's control. But Pakistan will have everything in everybody
but
else's
it's been a
control.
World Cup of surprises. So we don't know. Probably
If
Netherlands can come
Pakistan
in and
makes it to
spring
the
in a surprise
semi-final from
against South
here,
Africa.
then they should win the World Cup. That's what I will say. If Pakistan makes it to semi-final from here
Then
on,
they are
they should
destined to
win the
win.
World Cup.
If
Then
Pakistan
they're
somehow
destined to
goes
win.
on to make it to the semifinals, they are destined to win. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. That's all I would say. India should improve their bowling. I don't know why. I don't think so. India should improve their
I
bowling
mean, they
because
bowled well. It was
today,
very difficult
today
conditions to
you
bowl.
showed
Early on, there was
today.
no swing, there was
Today
no.
was a testament to your bowling. You won this game just on your bowling. You can say in a rain curtail match, the game wasn't Bangladesh's control totally. I know power play. You went for runs. It can happen in a T20 game, regardless of how good your bowling is. On a bad day, you can go for runs, and it's about how you come back into the game as well. T20 game is divided into halves: power play, middle overs, and death overs. If you can come back in the two
And
phases,
also the way Liton Das came out to bat, he definitely had some sort of intent in his mind, and he wanted to finish off. He knew
absolutely.
somewhere that
No,
there will be
I
rain
think the
affecting
rain
the
was a
game,
factor which
so that
was
was in his
played in
mindset.
the mind. Absolutely.
Yeah, and
So
also that is why that is exactly why Bangladesh went on to win the toss and elected to bowl first, because any
hmm,
team winning the toss would have bowled first, which would be in contrary to most of the decisions that team has taken in
hmm.
Australia.
Yeah,
Most of the
correct,
teams
correct.
have won the toss and prefer to bat first. But
Remember, it always
when you
worked to
have
plan.
rain looming in, you would rather prefer to bowl first on any day.
Yeah, it almost worked to plan. So you can give credit to Bangladesh for taking those calls. And remember, 184, I still felt India were 10 runs short because of one side being a shorter boundary. But you'll still take it in Australia with the given the kind of scores you've had under lights. But today, under lights did not do anything much. It was coming onto the bat even more
And
better.
also,
And
anyway, we would take 184 anyway, because the Bangladesh batting team hadn't really proved come out as an unit and proved something. Like none of there had been no team contributions from the Bangladeshi batters. One or two players would have outshined the others. And today as well, we saw a spectacular innings from Liton Das, but there was no support. With Liton Das playing a 27 ball 60-run knock, Bangladesh does not deserve or does not should not lose in a rain curtail game of 15 overs where they are chasing I think
they
150,
ideally shouldn't,
141,
as we all spoke
151,
earlier,
16 overs.
this was Bangladesh game to lose from there on, and they went on to lose thanks to some brilliant bowling and fielding by Team India, which was, as we say, fielding win you matches. Often it wins you matches, and it did today. You did not
Yeah.
drop catches. You got a run out of nowhere. It was a magical moment. I thought if India goes on to triumph this World Cup, it'll be remembered as one of the iconic moments which helped you in your
I think
journey
it's
as well.
always a run out that derails Bangladesh against India in the T20 tournaments, I think.
Absolutely. Yes. And I think so. Today also it did. And today's
Yeah.
game came very close. You have to say today's game, they were much more in control. I remember in 2016, they lost the game. Today also, I feel they lost the game from India. But today was a one-man army. which they just couldn't. Liton Das played out of his skin to get there. And remember, today was the first time he was opening the batting. Other days he was batting at number 3, number 4 for Bangladesh, which I thought also was nonsensical from their end. Today Soumya Sarkar was rested and he was brought in, and Liton Das very comfortable batting at opening, and he was given the chance. How important it is to give the players the right roles, isn't it, Jiren?
I mean, it is. It very much is important. As I've always said again and again in this live, right? It is how a player comes into prominence in an international team. How has the board, or why has the board selected that player, and how has he performed in that manner? You have to study that. For example, I mean, if you look at someone like an Ashwin, for instance, the way he came into prominence is because of his bowling, right? Because he was someone who used to not give away too many runs. He was able to pick up those crucial wickets, and that's how he came to prominence. And if tomorrow, let's say, India tries Ashwin out, maybe, I mean, I think Ashwin is still not a better example. I think the best example probably would be someone like Deepak Hooda, and the way he's being treated in the Indian team right now. The way he got into Indian team is, he got into Indian team because of his top order performances in IPL. But right now, where Deepak Hooda is batting for India is in the middle or lower order. So that's something that if you look at and focus, that's something that Indian team will have to focus. Obviously, when it comes to a team, there are certain holes and there are certain roles that you want the other players to take up, but not everyone is capable of doing it. Today, what we see with Liton Das as well is the same fact, right? He's someone who's very comfortable opening the innings, but obviously, opening the innings in T20 is the most easiest spot, to be very honest.
Yeah.
But Liton Das was pushed down the order because I felt that middle order gap that was being created because of the lack of experience there. And that's what that kind of slide that we saw today, the kind of collapse we saw today, that's what they wanted to arrest by putting Liton Das in there. They wanted him to be linchpin of the middle order, but I don't think that's his role. Unfortunately, though, Bangladesh need a lot more, need Shakib Al Hasan to really come through, because if this has to work, this idea has to work. Shakib Al Hasan has to hold that middle order through. If otherwise, Liton Das might go two ways. He might decide that, okay, my wicket is very important. I cannot take risks. I cannot go after the bowling, and he might start playing even more less aggressively than what we saw today. Or else, what Liton Das will have to do again is have to go back to the middle order and try and apply his trade there. Both will not go Bangladesh's way, because what we saw today was really good. Also, I think Liton Das has a very good record in terms of strike rate. His best strike rate is when he opens the batting at 132 overall. So that's something. That is also another factor to show that he's very comfortable on the top of the order.
Yeah, true. I'll totally agree with you on that. And that's something we'll talk about this question now.
And
Rohit
I think
Sharma's
with the
form.
team going through transitions, Shakib Al Hasan and Liton Das are their most experienced players. So you should not think of them like when Muhammadullah was their most experienced players. I think the thing that Bangladesh really missed a trick on was that Muhammadullah was scoring a lot of runs when he was batting at number 6 in the World Cup, in 50 over World Cup. And
Yeah.
Muhammadullah was a great player when he was batting at number 4 for Bangladesh in T20 I's. But then he was pushed down the order and given the role of a finisher. And I think
Yeah.
that somehow he went on to have a very good illustrious career. He has finished a lot of games for Bangladesh, won a lot of games for Bangladesh, but I still feel somewhere that Muhammadullah was a better top order player rather than a number 6 player. But since you had somebody of Mushfiqur Rahim and Shakib Al Hasan's career,
I was
like sort of
today
caliber,
slightly
uh,
surprised
uh,
also why they did not why they delayed Mossadegh Hussain's entry point, because if you look in that middle order, Mossadegh Hussain has a better strike rate than a Yasir, than an Afif, than even a Nurul Hussain. So
yeah,
Mossadegh
and
Hussein's
Abel,
entry
it's not
point was
just today.
delayed.
I think if you
Also, when Ashwin was bowling, they brought in two left-handers straight away. I think they're just following the batting order. There wasn't much creativity, I felt,
Yeah,
in
there
terms
was
of
no creativity. And
switching the batting.
Afif had a strike rate of 116 in T20 yesterday. It was a 16 over game where he had to come and get going. And he did put pressure on Bangladesh. And
And
Mossadegh
I think
Hussein's
it's
entry
not
point
just
was
today. I think Bangladesh has really missed a trick with the batting order throughout this competition, because Mossadegh Hussain has been one of their more cleaner strikers of the ball, and he has been very instrumental in Bangladesh's success in recent times. And we have seen not just in today's game, but if I remember correctly, even in the last game, or probably throughout this tournament, he has been coming in to bat at number 7 or number 8, and not
Yeah.
before that. They have been promoting players like Nurul. Even their wicketkeeper is coming into bat at number 7. Nurul is coming into bat at number
Yeah.
7. He's a good striker of the ball, we saw today. But I think Mossadegh Hussain does not deserve to bat at number 8 for this Bangladeshi team, because he's such a clean striker of the ball. He should come in at number 5 or number 6. And you
Yeah.
can have either of Yasir or probably Afif Hussain to drop back.
Absolutely. Let's talk about this question because something which will be bothering Indian fans and Rohit Sharma in particular. He's not really gotten runs, and today also he was not looking very comfortable. He got a respite and he couldn't really maximize it. His catch was dropped, and after that also he couldn't just get going. He's looking to be troubled by the ball moving, and I don't know what's happening with Rohit Sharma. Jalen, what can he possibly do? Should he take more time and should he just be like, okay, I'll just blast myself out of this phase by scoring a lot of runs by just hoiking or by slogging?
I really don't know. I think I am a big fan of Rohit Sharma, even though he has been instrumental in that record against CSK. But I think overall, as an Indian fan, you want to see Rohit Sharma do well, and you want him to perform well. I think it's basically, we had a conversation about it in the last episode. I mean, in the last live as well, where you spoke about something where you felt that
Yeah,
he was being late on. He's not as early as you would see, or he was not getting in position as quickly as possible,
yeah,
and that's how
yeah,
that was the way he got dismissed today as well. He did not
yeah,
seem like he got in position for that delivery, and
yeah.
that's where he got
Ball is
out.
hurrying onto him. It's something
Yeah,
which you see towards
you
a,
never see with
I don't
Rohit
want
Sharma.
to
I think
say this out,
it is
but
something
something
that
which
you
you
have
see
seen.
in a
Yeah,
player whose ending is latter half in his career, which is
yeah,
something
yeah.
which I don't want to say. I don't know if it's his fitness. I know a lot of people can come and troll me for this or whatever, but I'm being very factual. I'm going to be very technical and pragmatic over here. It's something which you need to accept it. It happens with every sports person, and you have to look at it in that frame of mind. And you want the better for the team, and you want better for the player as well. It happens with players when they're late on the ball is towards the latter hand. You saw that with Tendulkar, you saw that with Dravid, you saw that with Lakshman, you saw that with all the greats. And with Rohit Sharma, I don't know if it's his fitness. He's not looked the best in shape. There was a phase in which he looked in best in shape in his fitness. I don't
And
know.
also, I
Yeah,
think today he was very tentative in at the crease because he was moving around a lot. He was trying to create something out of nowhere because Taskin Ahmed was bowling a brilliant spell from one end, and KL Rahul was not in the best of forms. So I think that too. I mean, Rohit Sharma is trying every day to come in and smash the ball out of the park from the
maybe
get
it is
go.
not
So
working
I
for
think,
him. Maybe it is not working for him.
yeah,
Maybe
it's
he
not
should
working
follow.
for him because I feel that
I
he's a
mean, this
very
is the
natural
Rohit
hitter
Sharma,
of the
you
cricket ball.
saw. This is the Rohit Sharma that you saw during the early years of, I think, his career, where he was brought into the Indian team
Yeah.
as a very raw youngster, and he would always seem like he was in two minds. He did not know which shot to go for in every particular delivery, and that's how he would get out. Trying to
Yeah.
pull the ball, or trying to play the ball down the ground, or play it in the air. This is something that I'm seeing now after a long time in Rohit Sharma, where he had transformed his game. He was become much more clearer of thought. Now I think
Mm.
we're seeing that phase come back, and I think that maybe to an extent it is because of the fact that he hasn't performed for quite some time. We haven't seen the best of Rohit Sharma, I think, in the last few years now, and it
Yeah.
has gone under the radar because Kohli is going through that kind of a period, and also his IPL team has done pretty well, and that's where as a
I
captain
think
he's done
Rohit
very
Sharma
well.
has got a blanket on him because of the captaincy. You need Rohit
Yeah,
Sharma in the
he is.
captain.
He's an excellent captain, and and it happens as well when the captain is doing really well. He's leading from the top front. Sometimes you just and the team is doing well. So
And let me
that's
tell
when
you,
you
how
don't
many
look at
captains
these
have you really seen
factors.
leading well and scoring runs?
Yeah.
Historically, very few. Virat Kohli comes to my Ricky Ponting comes into my
Yes.
mind. Michael Clark was decent.
I
Graham
think
Smith.
Dhoni too, with the kind of scores that he used to bring. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm talking
towards the
about a
later
top
half,
order
he did not.
batter going and leading the
Yeah,
charts, scoring centuries,
Yeah, I
I
mean
taking
mean,
the team
Graham
to
Sachin is
Smith
a very
finals.
good
was very
example
instrumental in South
of the
Africa
opposite,
as
wasn't it?
well.
Sachin, for instance, when he became the captain, he really struggled with form. He had too much pressure. I think you have to also feel for him because he was the best batter in that team, and he had to not only lead the team in terms of bowling, but his scoring a 50 or 100 was almost equivalent to India winning or losing. So that is something that maybe you can feel for him,
One
but
thing which I'm also seeing from Rohit Sharma is
But
losing his shape
also
quite
with
fast.
Rohit Sharma, what I feel is that he's a very sort of a natural sort of a hitter of the cricket ball, and you can't expect Rohit Sharma. You can't dictate terms to Rohit Sharma that you have to go on and start to hit the ball right from now. Rohit Sharma,
Yeah,
once he gets the feel of the ball, I think he's in great rhythm.
absolutely.
But
Something
before
which you
that,
have
I
seen
think
of Rohit.
he's very sort of
but
he's a
I
nervous
think that's
starter.
where probably you'll see him do a little better in the one day format. I think maybe one day
Maybe,
format with
yeah.
the time that he'll
Yeah, you
get,
need him
you
to do
might
well in
see him do
one-day
a little
format.
better.
You need him to do well in one-day format. It's so crucial. His knocks in one-day formats are worth its weight in gold or even diamonds or whatever you want to say it because he's such a vital cog in the one-day format. Others in T20, the impact can be measured because you only have 120 balls to face. Whatever runs you give, it's going to be really impactful for you. But for Rohit Sharma, I also feel at this point he should really understand what is the kind of game he wants to play. Is it just going out there and trying to accelerate from ball one? or does he want to take a little bit of time and get going, as Sandeepani mentioned, have the feel of the ball? If that's what's going to bring the best out of your play, because in Australia you've got an excellent record. Rohit Sharma has one of the best records in Australia after Virat Kohli, and the game really suits what the Australian countries. He's got a very good pull shot. And remember, for the first time ever in Rohit Sharma's cricketing career, I'm seeing him struggle to time the pull shot. Either he'll get
Hmm.
out the pull shot, but after time he'll get out on the boundary. But for the first time ever, he's been late on a pull shot, which I've never seen in Rohit Sharma's career. So these are not good signs, to be honest, and these are signs which you don't want to see from your premier batter who bats a number two for you. So that's something which kind of baffled me throughout this tournament. I saw it in the Pakistan game, I saw it in the game against Netherlands, I saw it in the last game as well, and today as well. It's been a case which is kind of worrying me to an extent, which I think he should be able to overcome. I think it's just a clarity of thought. I still believe it's a mental block. That's what I like to believe as a fan. But as an analyst, I like to say these are not good signs for Rohit Sharma and India.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. I think, uh, yeah, I mean, overall as well, I think it is hurting India to an extent. One good thing for India, though, is the fact that there are batters stepping up, and we aren't actually feeling the dearth of Rohit Sharma's run as much because Kohli, Suryakumar Yadav today, KL Rahul covered it up. But there might be a day when you really need him to perform, and especially as we are going into it's almost certain that India is going into the top four unless something dramatic happens, which is, by the way, very possible in this T20 World Cup the way it's been. But I mean, at least right now,
you're
India
not
is
in
on
until
course.
you're in, Jaren. So
Yeah,
talking
you
about that,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. But at least being in course, and India must be preparing for the top four. And if they are, it's going to face a lot more steeper challenge. Especially because there is a very good chance you're facing either
And I
Australia
also
or
think that
England,
Rohit
two
Sharma,
teams which are very well
just
suited
to
to play in
end
Australia.
my views on Rohit Sharma, I think,
Yeah, good,
Yeah,
good.
go ahead.
yeah, I think Rohit Sharma has really been a very selfless cricketer when it comes to batting, because he has sort of taken the onus on him to sort of reduce the pressure on KL Rahul, because he was also not in the best of forms leading up to this World Cup, and he has looked to take a lot more risks. And that is what like we have also been talking in live. I personally don't agree with what you guys think of the modern cricket, where 30 of 16 from 4 players can do the job. But still, like
It
on
can.
that
It
basis,
can.
Definitely can.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
it
Sri
can,
Lanka is
it
a very good
definitely
example.
can. But you have to have all these players consistently performing for you. And I think Rohit Sharma has just tried to be that player for them, who can give the team
Sandeepani,
a
that's my
positive
point
start,
also with this
score the
World Cup.
30
This World Cup has really changed that pattern. It has broken that pattern or template which every team has been following. Today, I was listening to a very famous journalist who got banned recently for a fiasco. What
UPU.
he did with a
Why
cricketer. I don't know
YP?
if you know who I'm talking about. So he's a very famous journalist, and he was posting a video of a rain which was happening in Adelaide. पीछे से आ रहा था बस, यार ये बैटर्स ना, ये 120 स्ट्राइक रेट से खेलता है, कुछ पर्सनल माइलस्टोन, आज हम हारेंगे, we have to rely on bloody Pakistan. I was like, wow. This is, I'm not even sure if he knew, if while it was
Maybe it
recorded
was
it
he
was
got caught on the hot mic. Maybe.
once again. क्योंकि उसको इंडियन ग्राउंड्स में तो एंट्री नहीं मिलता, ऑस्ट्रेलियन ग्राउंड्स में जाके ग्राउंड के अंदर जा रहा है, तो जाने दो. He has to make his comment and stay relevant. But I was like, okay, fine. But in this point also, I found something. In certain grounds, you have to strike in a certain strike rate. Today, I thought certain Indian batters could have striken a little more better. For example, Hardik Pandya, if you would have stayed there in the crease a little more better, maybe helped India scoring to me 10 runs more. Today could have been a 200. Today was ideally a 200 pitch, not a 184 pitch. That's my take on the pitch, because there was one side which was very short. So
Also,
I've come to
I'll
slightly
agree
I
with you
different.
totally
there
agree with you.
because
I
the
think
ball wasn't
180,
doing as
180
much.
was par. 180 was par,
Yeah.
and with the way India did not lose any wickets early on, I think they were supposed to go to at least 200, and they have been scoring at over 10 runs or close to 11 runs per over in their last five, in the last 2 3 games as well. But it has not looked convincing. Against South Africa, they managed to score only 31 or 32 of the last 5 overs, and
Yeah,
it has not at all looked convincing from their end in the death overs. Where they've
yeah.
actually gone on and scored 70 80 runs, apart from the game against Pakistan, where it was brilliance from Kohli.
But to be
I mean,
honest,
all the
that's been
boundaries were
the
hit
case
by
in the
Kohli at
World
that
Cup
point.
also, right, Sandeepani? I'll say no teams were able to score more than 50 in the death overs. and it's an issue with this World Cup. It's not an issue. It's a good sign for the World Cup and the ballers at least, saying that you are in the play. You batters can't really use that advantage of shorter boundaries. Today you saw shorter boundaries coming into play. How batters were trying to use the advantage of it. Otherwise, it was a level playing field. You had bigger boundaries throughout the circle, and you couldn't really use one side of the ground. You couldn't use. You had to be useful in your skill. You had to be really good. That's why batters couldn't score more than 11 runs per over. But today, batters were able to come into play. That's why India was 16 runs short. But let's look at the points table meanwhile to understand where the proceedings stand as of now and what are the chances of every team qualifying. At this point, Zimbabwe are officially knocked out, and Bangladesh are still in with a chance if they defeat Pakistan, if they hope India loses the next one, but they have to defeat Pakistan by a mammoth margin, which is going to be very tough for them, I believe. I believe they're almost virtually knocked out, but mathematically still in. For Pakistan, the good thing is the net run rate is very good at this point. So if
Yeah.
India lose to Zimbabwe, and if they go on to win the next two matches, they are in the semi-final. Standings say as simple as that. It's a very simple task for Pakistan at this point. But yeah, for Indians, they will have to really pull their socks up. They can't afford to fumble. But for Pakistan, they have to first defeat South Africa and see how it goes from there on. So that's the first task in hand for Pakistan tomorrow morning as they take the field. If you are a Pakistani fan or if you are a Pakistan cricketer, you'll still believe if luck will go in your favor, it still might. Because it's not over. Indians are still not in the semi-finals. Guys, I'm still telling you, if it's a washout, yeah, you are in the semi-finals. But if a result goes the other way around, you don't
And
know.
I
Melbourne
think not
ground,
just Pakistan, if somehow Bangladesh goes on to defeat Pakistan in their last match, then Bangladesh will
yeah,
also end up with 6 points. But that net run rate will be an issue. So India
yeah,
will have to lose big. Or probably South
India will
Africa
have
will
to
have to
lose.
lose 2 games. Yeah.
Absolutely. So at this
Yeah,
point, only Netherlands and Zimbabwe are out of the chase. Other four teams are still in with a chance, mathematically or with a
So that
serious chance.
statement from Shakib Al Hasan yesterday was completely unnecessary because Bangladesh were on even playing field with India, and they were on top throughout the game. I
maybe
mean,
I
if
mean we can
rain would
also
have
say that the way Shakib Al Hasan came out yesterday is the reason why they played so well today.
Yeah, maybe,
I
maybe.
don't, I don't, I don't
No, I
actually
think
think
I
so
think
because
maybe it's
I
also possible. I mean, after the live as well, I pondered over it, and maybe it's possible. With all due respect to Shakib Al Hasan, it also is possible. The translation, it might have the meaning of the of what he wanted to say would have been caught
definitely,
in the
I
translation.
think,
Maybe he
I
wanted to
think that
say
is the
that.
case.
Maybe he wanted to say that tomorrow's match or today's match rather, the whole world
Yeah.
expects us to. I mean, India to win over us, or we are
Did
the
he answer
underdog.
that in
We have no
Bengali?
pressure. No, he answered it in English.
Okay,
I
maybe.
went.
Maybe it's a language barrier again, is what I believe. But
Maybe he was caught in the
Yeah,
translation.
probably,
Yeah.
maybe,
probably
yeah.
it was lost in translation. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what I believe. I don't think any other captain will ever make a
I
statement. I
mean,
believe
he
he'll
must
just
have
trust.
gone back and told his players, that everyone, the world expects us to
And if you look at his
defeat.
captaincy, also, he's a very aggressive captain. He's made choices very aggressively, very boldly. He's not a captain
Today, I
who's
think he
very.
was on point as a captain, except for
Yeah,
maybe
he
the
was.
second
I
innings.
love Shakib Al Hasan's captaincy today. I think he was brilliant, especially the fact that when Hardik Pandya came into bat, there were 5 fielders inside the circle. Uh, in the 13th or 14th over to a number 5 batter, and who has been so dominant in 2022, to have that courage to field in 5 players inside the circle. I think that was very sort of intuitional captaincy, and also I think he had the mid-on fielder in for his fast bowlers. So I think all in all, I think some of the tactics, I think he was very clear with exactly what he wanted from his bowlers
Yeah,
and exactly how he wanted to go about things. It's just that there was not enough experience left in that Bangladeshi bowling lineup towards the end to capitalize on some brilliant captaincy and some brilliant bowling early on.
absolutely. Yes, Teju, I'll say that it did flash memories to all of us when it comes to that particular phase. But yeah, hopefully and
Yeah,
thankfully
I was
that
also
was not
thinking
the
about
result.
it. It was just instead of Ireland, it was Zimbabwe beating Pakistan, and suddenly Bangladesh beating India, and both India and Pakistan looked to be out.
No, man, you don't want that. You don't want that. And thankfully, you have at least escaped for today. And you'll be hoping that you are in a better place to defeat
Yeah.
Zimbabwe either way. And you should defeat Zimbabwe ideally. If you want to win the World Cup, you have to defeat all the teams to win a World Cup, and that's the best way to win the World Cup. And hopefully meet South Africa in the final and
And I
defeat them
think
as well.
Zimbabwe have really faltered with the batting. They are too heavily reliant on Sikandar Raza
I
to
mean,
do the job
that's
for
been the
them both
case
with
with
bat and
most
ball.
of the smaller teams. I think, especially in a World Cup where bowling has, I would say, slightly heavier. 50, 65, 60% at least the bowling has been heavier on almost every pitch. Today was an
Oh, yeah.
exception, I felt though.
Yeah.
Today, I think it was the batting who was on top. But having said that, I think the all smaller teams regularly, I think it's much more easier. I would say, to,
Hmm.
I mean, without any disrespect for a bowler, but I
Yeah.
think it's much more difficult batting in the top flight of the game
Yeah.
than bowling. I think bowling becomes a lot more because these bowlers, right? They come through a lot more difficulty. I would say because
Yeah.
in the lower tiers of the I think almost every sport in the lower tiers, I would say batting is a little bit more easier because of the smaller grounds and all these things. But when it comes to the top tiers, it's very difficult to be a good batter because the bowlers are really, really good,
And also
and
the
they
conditions have to
seem
do
to
a lot
be,
with it. It's in Australia, technique matters a lot. A lot of
yeah,
things need to be in
yeah,
your favor. Boundaries are bigger. So it's not been easy batters tournament. That's why
correct.
bowlers who are even slightly weaker are in
So
the
I think
game because of the
especially the
longer
smaller
boundaries.
teams, you would see their batting being the weaker slot. Almost every weak smaller
Mm.
team.
Yeah. Absolutely. Having said that, I think we'll end the live. Before we end the live, I'll take a quick question from you all. Where would you prefer India playing semi-final if they make it to semi-final? Sydney or Adelaide? One word. Just give me quickly. Jaren.
I would say
Adelaide.
Adelaide because I think India has some fond memories. Virat Kohli, I think Teju is as well mentioned. Virat Kohli
Yeah.
has not been dismissed in T20 format in Adelaide in the two innings
Yeah,
that
he's
he's
not.
played.
He scored
And he's had
already
a,
4 centuries there. No. Yeah, three
yeah, and he's
centuries.
only yeah, and he's had a strike rate of 155. So
Yeah.
it's his favorite hunting ground. He's even come out to say that it's his favorite ground in Australia.
Yeah, today also he
So
said that he's very vocal
yeah,
about that.
yeah. So
You
I
know what he
think
means.
that's where, yeah, I mean, I would say Adelaide, definitely for me.
Sanjibani, you? Adelaide or Sydney?
Adelaide.
I'll
It's
say
a no-brainer.
I have a different opinion.
You want the
I
best.
think if India are going to play in Adelaide, you're going to
Yeah.
lose the match. India should play in Sydney because that shorter boundary is really worrying me. It really takes off a lot of things. It really threatens you. It's
No,
an even
but
playing
then
field.
again, New Zealand has been a big beast on Sydney. So I would rather play any team on
Yeah, I love
Adelaide,
the
especially
same
because
thing. I was
my best batter. I want my best batter to play on his favorite ground. That's it.
Absolutely. Okay, fine.
also, I think one more point right there is, Adelaide, I feel suits India a little bit more because the smaller boundaries is not, aside from the smaller boundaries, what really helps India is the fact that it's more batting friendly. It's more, I think this World Cup, from the few matches that we've seen in Adelaide, it's probably the most easiest place to bat on.
Yeah.
Probably one of the most easiest place to bat
There
on.
was only
I mean,
one
that's
match,
the
so you can
yeah, I
probably
mean, yeah, that point is there. But I feel today what we did see is the fact that under the lights also the ball wasn't doing much, and if that remains the case, maybe
yeah.
Adelaide is a better option.
Absolutely. Having said that, thank you all for watching and remember to pick, play, and win with Boom 11 this T20 World Cup. You can a lot of rewards and a lot of prizes are awaiting you. Remember to play a Predator contest as well. It's absolutely free of cost to do that. So get onto the app. The link is in the bio. Have a good time, all of you. Take care. Bye bye.